All right, and here we are. Hi, everyone. It's Dee and Larry Corchin. We are here on Tuesday, April 5th already, and thrilled to be with you tonight and really excited because we have global directors Shauna and Frank Davis that are going to take the wheel of today's call. So we just wanted to say a quick hello, and we're just going to let them take it from here. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, thanks so much, Dee. It's always a pill to get up there and unmute yourself, right? So thanks so much for showing up, everyone. We're so excited to see all you here tonight. And just up front, we had two coaches with some emergency life situations hit them at the last minute. So we're still going to roll with this, though. We've got an amazing coach that's still here tonight. So we're really excited that you're going to hear from Chris as well. But we're talking tonight about the follow-up, the importance of the follow-up, and then some of the objections that you're going to hear from time to time. And, we can't cover all of the objections that you may have heard in the past, but we're going to cover a few that we think kind of pop up frequently for some of you. But first of all, the follow-up is typically something that if you don't sign that client up right there on that initial health assessment, you are going to want to book a follow-up with them. And even if they don't sound 100% all in, you're still going to want to book a follow-up. And we book those immediately following the health assessment. And we may say something like, if they want to think about it or they just need a little bit of time, that's great. Go right ahead. But we want to book a follow-up with you so that we can circle back around in a day or two when you've had a chance to think about it or maybe discuss it with your spouse. And just, get a pulse check for where you're at. And so I usually try to book those within a day or two of the call itself. You don't really want to give them a week or 2 weeks out because they're going to have a lot of time to think about it then. They'll forget about you. They'll forget about what you talked about on the phone call. And if they are a little bit excited, that will pass. So once you get that follow-up booked, then, when you do follow back up around with them, it's a really great time to, kind of address any questions or concerns that they might have at that point. If they won't do that, if they're just a flat no, I do want to tell you guys, add them to your Healthy Habits newsletter, because that way it puts you in front of them week after week after week. And I always say, well, since you're not interested, would you be interested in getting on our Healthy Habits newsletter? You're going to get some great tips. You're going to get a recipe every week. And that's really always exciting to get a new recipe. If they're open to it, put them on the Healthy for Life page, because they are going to see all kinds of stories day in and day out. And that's going to pop up on their newsfeed, because once they're in there, then you're going to go in and you're going to tag them on that welcome video that Dee and Meg did, and maybe a welcome post. And then occasionally, don't just leave them in there. If you see something that you think they might like, just occasionally tag them on something, a recipe or a cool story that you think they might can relate to. Now, some of the objections that you may run into, I'm going to talk about one. Chris is going to come on and talk about how she meets some objections of why this program, how is this program any different than the rest of them? And Frank's going to follow up with probably the biggest one that we get sometimes. But I want to address the objection of the food. I love this objection because I think our food is fabulous and it's easy. And so I really like talking about it. I talk about how clean it is. There's no artificial ingredients. There's no artificial preservatives or flavors or dyes or sweeteners in the food. That's big for a lot of people. It's healthy. I talk about how it holds them for a 2 to 3 hour window. The fuelings are only just a few dollars a piece. The program literally costs them, if they're on a 5-in-1, just a hair over $15 a day to do. And I always say, when you go through Starbucks and you grab a coffee and one of those cute little Danishes that they have, there's your $15 right there, right? And they usually chuckle and say, yeah, I spend more than that in a day. And I love to hear that, because when I hear that, I can always circle back around with the cost of the fuelings. One of the objections is, it going to be prepackaged meals? Am I going to have to put them in the freezer? We don't want to spend too much time on the food, but if they're voicing those things, I'm going to address them and let them know that they're quick, they're easy. They come in a somewhat dehydrated state. Most of them are less preserving for them, when they come to your door like that. So I try to meet as many objections as I can with that food. And usually by the end of the conversation, they're not too worried about the food anymore. So that's the biggest one and my favorite one to address. But we're gonna bring in Chris, and Chris is gonna talk to you guys just a little bit about what she shares with her clients when they want to know why is this any different than any of the other programs. So Chris, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Shauna. I'm just going to continue to roll with the other three components in regards to the follow-up call. So on the follow-up call, when the objection to starting our program is all about the other diets that they've tried or the other plans that they've tried and failed and or haven't been able to keep their weight off, this is the best time to circle back around to what separates our program from all of those other programs that they've tried. So the very first point that I like to make in regards to the other diet plans that they've tried is they actually have access, we all know this, to a personal health coach, and that no other plan will have someone walking hand in hand with them, holding them accountable throughout their entire journey and even beyond. Another thing that I like to bring up, the second point, is to remind them that the other diets that they've tried and failed doesn't offer them what's available to them through the Habits of Health system, the ability to not only accomplish physical transformation, but to also transform their mind and the way that they think. And last but not least is our community page. When clients mention that they've gone to all those weekly weigh-ins at other meetings and different plans they've tried, and they've only lost that same 20 pounds, remind them that they're able on our program to connect with the actual creator, the doctor that created our plan on weekly webinars, and they can even come in their pajamas. And I always tell them that every week if they want to. And then they also have that extra layer of support along with 4,000 other people that are on the same journey and on the same, may have the same questions that they do on that private Facebook group, Eat, Live, and Be Healthy. So if the potential client didn't sign up right away and you're on the second call or the follow-up call, make sure that you mention all of these four components because they're exactly what separates us from all those other calls. Thank you.
I love that, Chris. I love how she brings in why our program is so different because we are so different. I've talked to a lot of clients who've been on other programs out there, and they may have a coach that they talk to, but they don't have all of this other support layered in there. And so I think it's really important when they're objecting to certain things that you talk about why our program is so different, why it's so personal. You know, we've got a one-on-one relationship, and Chris addressed those so well. So thank you, Chris. That was a great job. And Frank is going to pop in here next and talk about a few things.
Yeah, so before I get started, I want to mention a couple of things here for you that you want to put in your calendar. We got a couple of things that are coming up that are very important. The first thing that I want you to put in your calendar is tomorrow night, 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Tuesday night, is the leadership recognition. And I don't remember the exact number, but I know it was a record. I think it was like around 10 or something like that. And leadership recognition is like EDs and above. So you don't want to miss this. You do not want to miss tomorrow night. Why? Because success leaves clues. Mm-hmm. Why are these people ranking up? And they're ranking up fast. So tune in tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And then mark in your calendar, May 15th, there's going to be a virtual coaching event. You don't want to miss that one either. And I've heard from kind of like a little bird in my ear that Dee Corchin is like on that planning committee. So you know it's going to be good. So that's on May 15th. And then last but not least on the announcements anyways, is tonight is the very last night to take advantage of the reduced rate for Optavia convention. Now, why do you want to take advantage tonight? That's $50. $50 a person you're going to be saving. If you and your partner, you and your spouse, you and your friend, you and somebody else go together, that's $100. That might even pay for like a hotel room or gas money or something. That's a lot of money, $100. So take advantage tonight. Why do you want to go to the in-person convention? I tell you what, it's a game changer. Shauna and I went to one convention. That was in 2019. As you all know, we were recently recognized as globals. And Somebody asked, where were you a year ago? Just 12 months ago. And I said, FIBIC. And that's kind of, and Shauna said, really, we were FIBIC at 12 months ago? And we went back and looked at our records. Sure enough, we were FIBICs 12 months ago. Now, why did we go from FIBIC to globals in 12 months? Most of it, of course, we did the work, but a lot of it is because the mindset shift that we saw at convention. At convention, what does convention do? It lets you see the bigger picture. It lets you get around other people. It lets you see what's possible. I know you got family events. I know you got work events. I know you got whatever you have to do, go to convention. There really should be no excuses. Go to convention. Okay, so those are the 3 announcements. Now I want to talk a little bit about some of the objections, or at least the main objection you're going to get on the, on the follow-up. And as we know, or at least what we hear, the main #1 objection that everybody seems to get is the cost. Now I've got to be honest with you. In the beginning, I may have gotten some cost questions, but I hardly ever hear cost anymore. I hear the question, what is the cost? But I never get cost, hardly ever. If I do, excuse me, if I do 10 health assessments, I might get it 1 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 10. So I hardly ever get the cost. Now, why? Why do I never get the cost? Because it's up here in my brain. I don't think this program is expensive. Now, one thing you can do to kind of affect your brain is get to a place in your coaching business where your coaching business is paying for your food, right? And that's somewhere probably around senior coach to manager, somewhere in there, maybe a little higher depending on the structure. So now your coaching business is paying for your food. And if your coaching business is paying for your food, are you concerned about the cost? No. And that's going to come across on your health assessment. That's going to come across on your follow-up because you're not concerned about the cost. That is absolutely going to come across on your health assessment. So get your coaching business up to that level. Now, if I get the question cost, now I never bring up the cost during my health assessment. I wait for them to ask me. So I'm all done with my health assessment. Hey, Joe, hey, Sally, any other questions you got? Now they may ask me a couple questions, you know, what does the coaching look like? What's the food look like? You know, blah, blah, blah. Oh, how much does it cost? I'm waiting on that question because of course I never bring it up. I'm waiting on it. And when they ask me, how much does it cost? Here's my response. I'm so glad you asked. That's the best part of our program. The cost is super affordable. First of all, Joe, we don't charge you for our coaching. We don't charge you for the client community page. We don't charge you for access to the dietitians and the nutritionists. We don't charge you for our physician-led habits of health page. We don't charge you for the Wednesday night webinars. All that client support and coaching is free. You know what? And we simply create a client account for you. And unlike some companies out there, we don't charge you for an access fee or a sign-up fee or any type of initiation fee. All that is free to you. Your only cost is your food. And you're already spending money on food, Joe. You're just taking those same food dollars now and directing them toward your fuelings. And the cost is super affordable. For you, Joe, you're going to be on a program 5 and 1, 5 fuelings a day, 7 days a week. Joe, for you, for an entire month to get started, your first month, that's only $414 plus state tax. You know, Joe, if you like to do the math on that, that works out to be about $15 a day or about $3 of fueling, which is super affordable. You know, you can't even go to McDonald's, Joe, and eat for that. And if you do, you're eating junk, right? And I stop right there. Every single time they say, right. Now, don't worry about the verbiage. I don't want anybody to write that verbiage down because that's just verbiage. You know what gets them every single time? It's my belief, it's my excitement, it's my conviction every single time. People do not buy this program because of the food. They don't buy this program because of the community. They don't buy this program because of the cost. They buy this program because you're convicted and you believe in what you're doing. 100%. If you're milly-mowy, well, you know, the cost is good. You know, I know it's a little, no. If you're wishy-washy, you're not going to sign people up. Now, where did I learn this? Did I just make all this up? No, of course not. I'm an introvert. I don't like talking to people. You know where I learned this? I learned this from tapping into the training, listen to coach after coach after coach after coach after coach. Everybody has a different style. I learned this from my coach, Shauna. She would do calls and I would sit in here and listen to her. And you know where else I learned this? There's a video. Go find it. Tiffany, Tiffany Howard. She's in an SUV, and the name of the video is called "The Number One Thing You Need on a Health Assessment." The number one thing you need on health assessment. And in that video, I won't give the whole video away, but she says, you know what you need? You need confidence. You need confidence. Now, I don't use the verbiage Tiffany Howard uses because Tiffany Howard says, oh, girl, I'm about to save you some money. But I'm excited like that. And I believe it. It's not an act. It's not a show. I'm excited when it comes around to the cost because the cost is really a no-brainer. Why is it a no-brainer? I used to be a type 2 diabetic. I used to be on high blood pressure medication. I used to be on a statin drug. I was morbidly obese and in my 50s, and my dad died at 52 with all those conditions. So yes, it saved me my life. Is it worth $400 a month? Of course. Of course it is. So cost should never be an issue because you are potentially saving somebody else's life. This program is simple, guys. This program is simple. All you have to do is two things. Two simple things. If you've got weight on your body, the first thing you do is lose the weight. And the second thing is you do the work. That's all you do. You know, in the beginning, I was playing with it. I was trying to be a health coach, but then I was trying to be a food addict over here. So just do the work, lose the weight. Don't worry about the cost. People get in, but you got to do the work. So Shauna, you want to kind of.
That's how you meet the objections, you guys. You get excited about your program, and it doesn't matter what they come up or what they say or what they ask or what they say, well, I don't know about this or this. You're going to be able to come right back at them with your excitement, your belief, and, you know, just really honest. We're not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. We're just meeting objections, and you meet those by being confident, being excited, and be like Frank, right?
All right. So
we got through that pretty quick.
Yeah. So we got about 8 minutes, and we wanted to kind of open this up. We know you guys have very specific questions. You're getting objections that we're getting to. So if you have something, a very specific objection, can you pop it in the chat between us and maybe Dee and Larry? We can see what that question is. And we want to answer very specific objections. So pop that in the chat. We will look at those questions now as they start to come in. How do we scroll down here on this chat? Processed food. You want to answer that one? Or you want me to?
Yeah, you know, that comes up a lot. And I usually will ask them, go look in your cupboard. What are you eating right now? And they're eating processed food. They've got bags of chips. They've got cookies. They've got bread. They've got, I mean, unless they're growing it in the backyard, they've got processed food in their house. We have clean label food. So we use that terminology. This is clean label. There are no artificial, you know, dyes and flavors. And I think we use almost all natural preservatives. And that's why our food has an expiration date. That's why you can't let it sit in the cupboard for the next 5 years. This is not a prepper friendly food. It expires. It's clean. So I usually, you know, I love to meet objections about the food because that was my biggest concern when I came on. I was so negative about buying food. And so for me, I love to talk about the food and meet that objection. And although we don't want to make it all about the food though, because, you know, if somebody's making it all about the food, you've got somebody there that's looking at this like a diet. So then you want to circle back around and say, you know, this isn't a diet. So the food, I always tell them that's the least on the 4 components that's going to make you successful. What's going to really make you successful are the 3 that Chris talked about: the coaching, the community, the education. Those are the powerhouse hitters that are going to help you to change your life for the long haul and not make this a diet. And so I try to circle back around to those other 3 and get off the food as quick as I can. But I do love meeting those objections with the food.
Yeah.
It's just a tool.
Yeah. And so one of the things I've learned early on in my health assessment, I cover probably 99% of the objections I've learned to hear over the course of time. I cover those in my health assessment. So I've already covered them in the health assessment, so they don't come up at the end. So when people talk about processed foods, when I get to the fourth component, I say, the fourth component is nutrition. And then, when I get around to what I'm describing the nutrition as, I can say, one of the reasons I recommend this company to you is, number one, the food is not processed foods. Joe, I don't want you going out there eating processed food. So they're not going to ask me at the objection, is it processed food? 'Cause I just told them it wasn't. So I cover all these objections during my health assessment. But here's another question. Will I like everything I eat? Well, I saw that somewhere.
Oh, love that one.
Yeah. Will I like everything I eat?
Love that one.
And here's how I answer that one. Joe, let me ask you, the last time you went to a restaurant, did you like everything on the menu? No, you probably don't. We don't like everything on the menu. But I will tell you this, Joe, and here's what I found from experience. We have hundreds of clients, and myself included, your taste buds will change. Now, you may not like something in the beginning, but that item may be your most favorite item down the road, or vice versa. So I handle that objection pretty quickly and move on. You want to hit another one here?
Yeah, that's what I say too about the food. It seems like the food is the biggest question that we've got running here. And I think that and cost probably are the two big ones that we get. But you just got to be confident about it. Just be confident and learn some of that, research the food and dive into your life book or your habits of health book in chapter 2.7. Learn the science behind the program, and you can confidently speak to the food when you learn the science behind the program, because then you're going to be able to tell them why it works so well, why we're using this food component.
Okay, and I saw Joni say that I've got to the point in my health assessment, I'm signing them up, and I got their credit card, and then they decided it was too expensive. So yeah, that happened to me in the beginning, and that's frustrating because now you have a client in your back office with no volume, and that's no fun. So here's what I do. Again, I'm doing the health assessment with Joe, and he's ready to go. I said, all right, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm confirming with Joe, you're going to be paying tonight too, because who's ever got to this point? You get all the way to enter all the information in, you're ready for their credit card. They go, oh, I got to pay tonight? You mean, I thought I could pay on Friday when I got paid. So now you got a client with no volume, and then who knows what happens with Friday. So here's what I do with that. Hey, Joe, sounds like you're ready to get going. Are you ready to go ahead and create your client account and go ahead and pay for your first month's order tonight? Yeah, I'm ready. So I've clarified that before I even start typing their name in. I want to know they're going to be paying tonight, not next week, not next month when they get paid. Tonight they're paying.
If I ask the cost of the program at that point, I'll usually say, would you like to know how much the program cost? And that way I can get that right out of the way before we go in and create an account and sign them up.
Yeah, and if I get that, they have not asked how much it costs, I'm going to say, Joe, you've asked me a bunch of great questions. The only thing you haven't asked me is the price. And I'm assuming it's a no-brainer for you because it is for most people. So now I'm planting the seed to Joe. It's a no-brainer because it is for most people. So is now Joe going to tell me I can't afford it? Why? Because most people can afford it, and Joe doesn't want to be in the minority of people that can't afford it. You see how I'm playing into Joe's mind? So Joe, it's a no-brainer. The reason you probably didn't ask me, because most people can afford it. I'm sure you can as well. And then I go right into my cost. It's super affordable. Any other questions? And then we're going to let Dee and Larry wrap it up here. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for allowing us to share. Dee and Larry, thank you so much. We'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. You did a great job.
Yeah, thank you, Frank and Shauna and Chris. All of them, Frank and Shauna run the largest frontline volume on our team. I mean, they've had experience with this, and what I gathered the most, and hopefully you guys picked up from it, and what was a big shift for me was just that confidence. Like when you know what you know, right? Like that the food is good, the price is right, and the program works. And I think when we can just deliver with that kind of confidence, you'll start to see your objections minimize, and your response, you won't get as rattled when you do get those kind of questions. if you are struggling, or if you seem to have the same issue coming up all the time, that is a really good time to talk about it with your mentor directly, just to kind of talk through it, just to see, what might be going on there, what might be able to be tweaked. But that has been something that we've been able to smooth over and help a lot.
If I can just add, so Frank and Shauna, we know Frank and Shauna, they live the habits of health. Right? They've been there. They've been on the very unhealthy side, and they've gone through the program. They continue to live the program, okay, with their habits of health each and every day, each and every week, right? So that's so important, that again, we stay consistent, right? Sometimes we say that, when we're out of integrity with our own health, it can kind of cause us not to show up the way we want to show up. And that's that confidence, right? That Frank and Shauna were talking about. So I share that as well, because if you feel that you're not growing, and when I say growing your business, but it's your health. If you're not growing your health, we always joke around when you're in fat burn, you're like on fire, right? But it's true. If we're staying accountable to our own health, everything is just coming together, and that confidence just grows and blooms.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good spring analogy, right? It blooms.
And I had recently, well, it was probably about 6 to 8 months ago, but I was talking with a newer coach, and every objection she was running into was about the cost of the program. So finally, I just said, I just have to ask you a question. I said, do you think it's expensive? And she said, I kind of do. And so we talked through that, because if we have that rattling around in our head, we don't be surprised when it shows up in front of you with your clients. So then when we talked it through, and she'd had tremendous success with the program and the investment in herself, when she shifted, her business shifted. It was remarkable how quickly it happened. So that's why I said, talk to your mentor coach, because sometimes things are happening and we don't even realize in our own thought processes what might be contributing to it. And honestly, that just happened to me recently with my coach, with a struggle I was having with some client support. And then he asked me a question and I was like, oh, convicted. It was something that was going through my head. So,
yeah. So, but awesome stuff. Next, as far as just real quick, as far as wrapping up, Frank and Shauna mentioned tomorrow night, we're going to have our leaders call. So excited. That's probably the highlight of our month, where we get to celebrate and really share about growth in our coaches and what they're doing. Guys, March was unbelievable. You guys really crushed it. We saw so much great news for so many out there, and so many of our clients are benefiting from that as right now. So recognize that what you do relates to a person being healthy each and every day. Okay. And it's so important to do that. So again, just congratulations to everybody out there, and just continue doing what we're doing. Again, we've talked about some of the challenges that OptiV has had, but again, I go back to Frank and Shauna again. It's confidence in knowing that you have a company, okay, that is crushing it, not just in our world, but in the entire world when it comes to health. Okay, you want to be on this train. And if it takes 10 to 14 days to get your package, be thankful it takes 10 to 14 days to get your package, because everybody wants it. Okay, so when I see concerns about shipping, I get it, because you got to respond to a client. But I think it was Dan Valentine, he put a quote out there, and his quote was, well, like, this is how you respond. Isn't it crazy? That was his response. Isn't it crazy how unbelievable our mission is taking off in the world, that everybody wants this now? I'm so glad you're part of it. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's all about posturing. Again, they'll get caught up as we continue to grow. They're adding shifts. They're doing whatever it takes to get it through. But again, just exciting times ahead.
Yeah, we definitely know, and we did share this in Coaches Up for Change, that the company, this is on the forefront. This is the top priority of the company, is fuelings, supply of fuelings and production. So just know that it's being worked on. They did add, if you saw, they did have added to the 4 and 7 day notices in bold print about clients moving their orders sooner. So would encourage you to their second and third or whatever premier orders, but I would encourage you to connect with your clients, have them order sooner, so we can try to avoid as many, potential gaps in fueling. And thank you guys for being the front line. I mean, we're all facing it. We're all challenged. We're all stretched with this. But you guys are doing a great job and really keeping it proactive and positive with your clients.
Yep. So.
All right. Some great stuff happening on Dr. A's call, on the field training call, and also Dan Bell's call at 9. So we hope to see you there.
And remember what Frank said earlier, tonight is the discount, the last to get in for convention. Again,
Early bird
our
special.
early bird special. So again, sorry, early bird special. Again, again, we're excited. We want you all in Atlanta because we're going to be there. So
Yeah, we're here.
Anyway,
All right. See you guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Love you.